this started here. Alright. Got a few things to do before we get started. Let's see if I can add up. Alright. There we go. Let me get this stuff fixed up, and then we're gonna be good. All right, almost done here, and then we can get started. Gotta make sure everything's okay. All right, I think that's doing good. And I gotta make sure I can see the chat here. That's enough music for now. Let me put this off. I'll get back to listening to music later. Yeah, God, right in the eyes. I. Okay, all right. That's fine. That's fine. Oh boy, just gotta get this going. Hopefully, we are not here too long. Okay, I think we are. Let me see. Let me check. I think we should be good to go. All right. Yep, we are good to go. So, guess we get started here. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. It is 9:20 p.m. Saturday night. We play the Ravens. We play the Cleveland Browns tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is going to be quite the game that will be played in Baltimore tomorrow. Week 1 was an emotional game for us, obviously because of it being against the team that we went up against in the playoffs and eliminated us. So that was an emotional game heading into, Sunday night. And of course, that was a primetime game. And we ended up suffering yet another heartbreaking loss, which I can't even say it's a heartbreaking loss. It's more of a joke. With Kansas City, that was a heartbreaking loss because we lost by a toe. This year was just a massive choke. So I can't even say it's a heartbreaking loss. When you choke the game away, you just choke the game away. We didn't choke against Kansas City. We just lost in a heartbreaking fashion. If Isaiah Likely's toes down, we may win the game because we were going for 2 to see how things were going to go. So, yeah, the Chiefs game was a heartbreaking loss. What happened last Sunday was not a heartbreaking loss. That was just a massive choking performance. You're up 15 with 4 minutes left. You should be able to close that game out. But knowing that this is the Ravens and this is what they just do nowadays, they're just the modern day Atlanta Falcons, they're the modern day Chargers. All they do is choke big games and big moments and choke away leads. This is just what they do nowadays. So, yeah, that's just how it goes. But that was an emotional game. It just ended up being a choking performance by us. This game here feels like it's going to be a more emotional game overall. Now, from our standpoint, it's not going to be a highly intense emotional game because we're going to be celebrating on Sunday. The Ravens will be having their 30-year anniversary for the franchise being here in Baltimore. They will have that tomorrow at M&T Bank Stadium. There's going to be a lot of former Ravens there, honoring a lot. I think they have the 2000 Ravens players. A lot of them showing up. That Super Bowl team is going to be there. It's going to be just a huge celebration of Ravens history in our home opener. And it's going to be very interesting in seeing how this is going to go because I've been thinking about this the last few days in terms of this overall aspect. We're having a 30-year anniversary and we're celebrating 30 years of history of the Baltimore Ravens. So we're celebrating, we're honoring, and doing all this other stuff. We're going up against the Cleveland Browns, and the quarterback that will be playing us tomorrow is Joe Flacco, our former quarterback. This was the guy that was the first ever franchise quarterback for the Ravens. He played here for a decade, won a championship with us. He was our first ever franchise quarterback. And now he's coming back to Baltimore to play against the Ravens for the first time since his exit from the franchise in 2018. So I have a question about this. What do the Ravens plan to do in regards to Flacco? How is this going to go tomorrow? Because you already knew that you were doing this 30-year anniversary and you're celebrating history. And you already knew, or at least you've known for at least the last few months because Flacco came back to the team and Flacco came back to the Browns, that team, and you knew this was going to potentially happen. And once Flacco was named the starter, you knew the possibility of you having to play against Flacco was very real. And even if you weren't playing with him, the second he joined the Browns, you would feel that, okay, this is something we may want to try to do in terms of honoring him. So tomorrow is the 30-year anniversary. They're going to be honoring a lot of former Ravens and celebrating 30 years of history. Well, you can't tell the history of the Ravens without talking about the first ever franchise quarterback you had in Joe Flacco, who won your Super Bowl. So what do they have a plan? Do they know what they're going to do in regards to Flacco? How is that going to go? Because he is going to be the quarterback that you're going up against. Do they have any plans for Flacco in regards to celebrating him or honoring him? Do they have any sort of tribute video? I don't know. I'm really interested about this because I feel like that is something that would have to be addressed. If we weren't celebrating 30 years, I would assume they would have something for Flacco for his return to Baltimore for the first time since he exited the franchise in 2018. So I would assume they would have something for him. But since tomorrow is the 30-year anniversary, does that mean they aren't going to do something in regards to Flacco, or at least have him, have a tribute video or something? Are they not going to do that, or will they just have that added on alongside everything else? I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to work because you got to honor Flacco. This is his first time coming back to Baltimore since leaving in 2018 when we moved on to the Lamar Jackson era. You have to honor your first ever franchise quarterback that got you a championship. You just have to. And considering the fact that Flacco's 40, you're not fully sure you're going to have another moment like this. Because when he left, I'm going to be honest, most of us did not expect Flacco to still be playing in the year 2025. I did not expect to see Flacco playing football as a starting quarterback at the age of 40. Most of us didn't expect that to be the case. So when he left, we all knew of the possibility that we could potentially play Flacco in Baltimore in the near future. So we were all sitting back and waiting to see how that was going to go. But it just never really worked out because he went to Denver and it didn't really work out there. And he went to the Jets and we played the Jets. So we played Flacco in 2022, week 1. But that was on the road in New York. That wasn't in Baltimore. So, it was cool to get to go up against your former quarterback, but you didn't play against them in Baltimore. So any possibilities of celebrating him or throwing a tribute video of anything, that is out the table. You're not at home. So you played him in 2022, and then the whole situation with the Jets didn't work out. Next thing you know, in 2023, he ends up going to the Browns because Deshaun Watson suffers a season-ending injury, and they need a quarterback to play there. DTR is not doing anything for you, and they really didn't have much else to really rely on. So they go get Joe Flacco off the couch, and Flacco plays, and He plays well enough to help take that Browns team to the playoffs. He also won Comeback Player of the Year. So, it was all cool. And the possibility of us playing the Cleveland Browns was very real and it was on the table. The Texans and the Browns were taking each other on in the wild card round. We had the number one seed, and everyone thought that the potential of the Browns beating the Texans was really high because Flacco was playing well and that defense was looking fierce. So the possibilities of Baltimore and Cleveland meeting up in the postseason was very real. And I think that would have been the first time the Ravens and Browns would have met up in the postseason because we've never met Cleveland in the playoffs. So that would have been quite the emotional game in its own right. And of course, that would have been Flacco's first time back to play against Baltimore in Baltimore. But that situation didn't, work out. And then the team moved off of Flacco at the end of the year. And yeah, we didn't know how this was gonna work, if Flacco would ever get another chance. But here he is in 2025, once again back in Cleveland as their starting quarterback. Because he leaves there, he goes to the Colts, and then yeah, it doesn't really work out there with the Colts, not that much. Flacco's a good guy that you can bring in. He's a good veteran for your locker room, and he can still throw the football. But you're not expecting to win anything major or significant with Joe Flacco. He's just going to win you some games here and there and just make some plays here and there. You know what you're getting from Flacco. But yeah, he's not expected to be a long time starter. So because of that, many of us sat back and said there's not a high chance that we play against Flacco in Baltimore because the chances of him being on a team and being the starting quarterback when they come to Baltimore was highly unlikely. But next thing you know, he goes to Cleveland again, and he ends up becoming a starter. Kenny Pickett didn't really practice, didn't really do much of anything because of his injury, and of course they weren't going to start Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, so Flacco was expected to be the starter. And now here we are in week 2, and Flacco is going to be playing against us tomorrow. So how is that situation going to work? Because now you're looking at this situation, you're like, okay, you're going up against your former franchise quarterback, the guy that helped bring a championship to your franchise, your second ever championship. He was here for a decade and was the face. Well, he wasn't the face of the franchise. That was Ray Lewis, of course. And even when Ray Lewis retired, more people just looked towards Terrell Suggs just taking over that role. Flacco was never viewed as the face of the franchise, but he was your franchise quarterback. So yeah, he definitely was a franchise quarterback for a decade, and now he's coming back to Baltimore for the first time since leaving in 2018. I'm really interested in seeing how this is gonna go. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be here watching this tomorrow. I might have to pull up early, and we'll do an earlier stream maybe because of the ceremony. I don't know how long the ceremony is gonna go and how this whole thing is gonna look like. But I'm very curious as to what the Ravens are going to do because I want to know if they are going to have any sort of video ready in regards to Flacco because I feel like you do have to honor him in some capacity. Whether it's just, having a moment to give him a tribute video or just a brief moment of addressing him, there has to be something there that the Ravens are going to do. Because if you're celebrating 30 years of the franchise, you can't not have Flacco involved in that. You have to. You have to have Flacco involved in that. So it's it's quite the conundrum. I will not lie to you. It is quite the conundrum, and it's very interesting to see. It's very interesting to see. You worry too much, Nicholas. I'm not even talking about the game. I'm not even talking about the game. This stream has nothing to do with the game, dude. I'm saying it's an emotional game for outside factors. I have said nothing about the game. In fact, I've spent this first 10 plus minutes talking about Flacco. This stream has nothing to do with the game. I need to point this out to you. This stream has nothing to do with what will happen on the football field. This is the emotional aspects that are lingering around that's been discussed heading into the game. That's why I've started off this first 10 minutes talking about what the Ravens are going to do in regards to Joe Flacco. Because it feels like you have to give him a tribute video. This was your first ever franchise quarterback that won you a Super Bowl. So you have to do something for Flacco. And since you are celebrating 30 years of the franchise, you can't just ignore Flacco and not do something for him, especially when he's going to be on the other side of the field here. So it feels like they have to do something for Flacco. So we just spent 10 minutes just talking about whether or not the Ravens are going to do anything in regards to Flacco. Will they give him a tribute video? Will they have a moment to honor him? I don't know what they plan to do in regards to that, if they even have any plans. I mean, it'd be kind of weird if you just celebrate 30 years and your first ever franchise quarterback is on the other side and you don't even give him a mention. It'd be very weird to do so, and I don't know if this organization is gonna do that. So I'm trying to figure out what the Ravens are going to look to do. I mean, it's going to be a lot. I have no clue how this is going to go, and I have no clue what sort of game plan the Ravens have in regards to that. But I'm very interested in that. And because he is going to be there tomorrow, it feels like you have to honor him at some point in regards to something. I don't know what it's going to be, but man, it feels like you got to honor him somehow. So yeah, I'm just very interested in that overall process, and I'm very interested in seeing what the I'm very interested in seeing what the Ravens are going to do in regards to that, because I really do feel like they gotta throw something. They gotta throw some sort of celebration, something. You gotta do something for Flacco. It really feels like you do. Truly feels like you gotta do something for Flacco, but who knows, man? Who knows? Anyway, yeah, we're not here to talk about the game today. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have any discussions in regards to the game. I don't. I have zero discussions about the game in terms of what's gonna happen on the football field. I have no discussions for that. That's not the reason why I say this is gonna be an emotional game. It's because of the outside factors that play a role into how this game is going to be. So, from an emotional standpoint for the Ravens, it's due to the celebration of 30 years, as well as going up against your former franchise quarterback in Joe Flacco, which again, we'll wait and see what they do. I don't know if they're going to honor him, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. A huge part of the emotions that will be displayed in this game, heading into this game for the most part, has been from the Browns side. If you guys have been paying attention, Cleveland has been absolutely livid this entire week. They are angry, they are livid, they are disgusted, they are fuming. The fans are heated. The media's heated. It's nothing but anger, hate, and just vitriol for the Ravens right now. That's how the Cleveland Browns look at us right now. It's just nothing but hate coming out of Cleveland in regards to the Ravens. And it's all because the Ravens are celebrating their 30-year anniversary with the Browns heading to Baltimore to take them on. So the Cleveland Browns are going to be on the field, or at least they're going to be in the stadium. I don't know if Stefanski is going to decide, you know what, while they do this ceremony, we're not going to be out there. We're going to stay in the locker room. Maybe he decides to do that. Maybe he doesn't. But they're going to be in the stadium when Baltimore is celebrating 30 years of their franchise, 30 years of being a top organization, 30 years of winning 2 championships and being one of the more successful franchises in that time. Just 30 years of success. They're going to be celebrating that in front of the Cleveland Browns. That is what is causing a lot of the emotions that have been displayed heading into this game. Because the Browns, their fan base and their media is so pissed off because they look at this as the ultimate sign of disrespect. They're so angry with Baltimore for doing this. They're so angry. To have us celebrate 30 years of our success with them knowing that we stole their team because Art Modell decided to take the team out of Cleveland and move it to Baltimore, and then to watch that same team that used to be yours go on and win multiple championships, well, you get your team back in 99 and proceed to do absolutely nothing but suck and fail and disappoint and be an embarrassment and be a disgrace. To watch that team that used to be yours have this much success, and now they're going to rub it in your face while they celebrate that success. Yeah, I could see why they're mad. I could see why they're mad. I can absolutely see why they're mad. I can absolutely see why they're mad. And that's been the storyline this week. After all the Ravens, like Ravens fans we were all spending this week. We were spending this week basically trying to get over the heartbreaking loss, the choking performance against Buffalo. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, they were throwing daggers at us and wishing on our demise, specifically because the Ravens announced that they're going to be celebrating their 30-year anniversary on their season opener, and Cleveland's coming to Baltimore for the season opener. So it's really funny. It's really funny to see how this is going. I don't understand why Cleveland is angry. We left the history in Cleveland. Come on, bro. You know why they're angry, man. You know why they're angry. The funny thing about it is the level of anger and vitriol that they have for the Ravens is 100, even 1,000 times more strong than the hate and anger and vitriol that we have for the Colts. And the Colts situation was worse. They lied. The Colts lied, man. They lied and said they weren't leaving. They lied and said they weren't leaving. The Ursay family packed up their bags. The Colts packed up in the middle of the night, got in that truck and left Baltimore and took everything. Nobody stopped them from doing that. Think about this. Cleveland's complaining and getting pissed off because Art Modell chose to take the team and move them to Baltimore. And he told them he was going to do this, which is why for their final game, this is how you know. This is how you know it was a different time. It was a different era. This is the 90s, bro. This is the 90s. You know it's a different era. They showed up to the final ever Browns game, the original Browns team. They showed up to that final game with saws and started sawing off the seats in the bleachers, bro. They were going crazy like, well, since this stadium's not going to be here and you're taking the team, we taking a piece of this memory with us. Bro, they brought in actual weapons to the stadium because a saw is technically counted as a weapon. They brought that in. The police was there. Nobody stopped these fans from doing it. They were ripping off these bleachers. Nobody was stopping them. Nobody was stop. That's how you know it's the 90s. It's the last era before things really started to change. Security became a lot more tighter. And just doing something like that is just not allowed. In 2025, you can bring a fork to the stadium, it will be taken away because it could be used as a weapon. You have fans in the 90s bringing a saw to the games to saw the bleachers off. They were destroying that property and saying, I'm taking it. And nobody was stopping them because the stadium's about to be closed. It's the final game. Nobody stopped those Browns fans from doing that. There were even longtime Browns fans that said, I was there, man. The police weren't stopping anybody. In fact, they were laughing at this situation. Nobody cared. It was the 90s, man. And the Browns were about to leave, so who cares? You already took the team and then moved and said you're moving it to Baltimore. We're going to take these bleachers. We're taking these seats, man. We're taking them. You're not stopping us. That's crazy that they really did that. That's how you know it's the 90s, man. It's the last era where you could really just do whatever you want. Security wasn't even close to being as strict now in stadiums as they were back then. You really could just go and do whatever you wanted back then. That's crazy. But yeah, Art Modell let the city know he was going to move the team. Even though it pissed off the fans, he let them know they were moving the team. And the city fought. The city fought to keep everything. The city fought to keep everything, dog. And the Browns retained everything. The Browns retained their name. They retained the players here. It's not like we got Jim Brown in our own Hall of Fame here in Baltimore. Jim Brown is not part of our history. He's not. They retained that. They retained their name. They retained the uniforms for the most part. They retained their history. The Hall of Fame players that played for them, they retained all of that. It's just Art Modell moved the team from Cleveland to Baltimore. And because he moved it to Baltimore, he had to come up with an entirely new team with an entirely new name, thus them being called the Ravens. That's what happened to them. That is not the same situation that happened to us when the Colts packed up in 1984 and just took everything and nobody stopped them. They took the name, they took the franchise's history, the uniforms, they took all of that and just moved to Indianapolis. They took all of that and moved to Indianapolis. Also, the Browns went 3 years from 96 to 99. Well, sorry, from 95, 96 to 99. They went 4 years without any football in Cleveland. Baltimore went 12 years. The Irsay family took all of our history in Baltimore, all the history of the Baltimore Colts, took it with him. The team name, the franchise, the history. He took all of it, moved it to Indy. We retained none of that history, none of those rights here. He took all of that in 1984. And then Baltimore went 12 years. He took all of that. He lied to the city and talked about he wasn't going to move the team. He lied to the city and then moved the team in the middle of the night while nobody noticed. So he lied to the city and moved the team in the middle of the night during a storm and nobody noticed. Took the team, franchise, everything, moved to Indy. He did that, and there was no football in Baltimore for 12 years before Art Modell came here and established this team in 96, and they became the Ravens. So if we're talking about scenarios and situations, Baltimore's situation is worse than Cleveland. Cleveland, you got to retain your history. You retain your team name. You retain the uniforms. You retain your history. The Hall of Famers that played for your team, you still retain those. When we talk about throwback uniforms, it's not like the Ravens can wear those throwback uniforms from the Browns because you retained all of that. Those throwbacks are yours. You retained all of that. You just lost the original team with the coaching staff and the players that were there. They just moved to Baltimore. But you retained the history and the name. The Ravens didn't retain anything. We can't throw any throwback uniforms to the Colts here. We can't wear any Baltimore Colts stuff here. We didn't retain none of that. Our throwback unis is to what we wore in 96. That's our throwback. This is an entirely new franchise. We ain't got no throwbacks to, let's pull out those nice fancy blue jerseys from the 1970 Colts. No, the Colts have complete access to that because they took everything. They can pull those throwbacks. We can't. So our situation is 1,000 times worse than what Cleveland's situation is. Here's the difference. Baltimore lost everything. Got it stolen from them. The Irsay family lied. Stole everything, just left in the middle of the night. No repercussions. Baltimore doesn't have football in the city for 12 years until Art Modell comes. They established the Ravens in 96. 4 years later, they win their first ever Super Bowl in 2000. 12 years after that, they win another Super Bowl in 2012. That's the difference between the Ravens-Colts situation and the Browns-Ravens situation. We have a disdain for the Irsay family. We have a disdain for what they did. 12 years. Again, I wasn't around during that time, so it's not like I hold a lot of hatred for that. But the longtime fans that live in Baltimore, that remember when they were the Colts, they got hatred for the Colts. But their hatred isn't as hot as the Browns' hatred because we won 2 Super Bowls. The longtime fans, the longtime citizens of Baltimore, they don't have that level of hate for Irsay and the Colts because we got this new franchise and we saw this new franchise win multiple championships. Meanwhile, Cleveland lost everything. Watch Art Modell take that team to Baltimore. They get a new team in 1999 while still retaining the history. And from 99 to where they stand today, they've accomplished nothing. Nothing but failure, nothing but disgrace, nothing but disappointment. They have been titled the Factory of Sadness. They are a disgrace and a joke to the league. That's what the Browns have done since 1999. Meanwhile, the team that used to be theirs went to Baltimore and won 2 championships. So I can see why the level of anger Browns fans have for us is massively immense, several times more than any animosity or hatred we have towards the Colts and the Irsay family. The city of Cleveland will never forgive Art Modell. They will never forgive him. And they will point to him moving the team to Baltimore as the primary reason as to why he will never go in the Hall of Fame. So there's different aspects. Baltimore's situation was worse than Cleveland's. Cleveland can feel however they want to feel. They can say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, you retain the history. You just lost the team you had at the time. But you retain the history, the uniform, and the name. We lost everything. And football was gone from Cleveland for 3-4 years. Football was gone in Baltimore for 12. So Baltimore's situation is worse. But Baltimore won championships, so they're not as bitter as you guys are because you haven't won anything. Meanwhile, Baltimore won 2 championships. They don't have that level of bitterness that they would have for the Colts had the Ravens not won anything. Because the Colts won a championship with Peyton Manning in 2006. But the Ravens won a championship in 2000. So the Colts left. They left, went to Indy, and Baltimore. They left, went to Indy. Baltimore didn't have football for 12 years. The Ravens get established, and then they go on to win a Super Bowl before the Colts do. So why would we have any animosity or hatred, or not any? Why would we have a huge amount of hate, animosity, and vitriol and hatred for the Colts? We've won multiple championships. Baltimore's got 2 rings. We're looking to get a 3rd one. We lost all the history there, you know? You'll still probably see some old, longtime fans that grew up watching this team from the 70s. They probably still have a Johnny Unitas jersey. And it's not like we still don't honor what he did in Baltimore. He's still a legend. But we don't really have access to those jerseys or that history to an extent because the Colts stole it all. But with Cleveland, you have all your history. You retained everything. You just lost the team and they went to Baltimore. But because you guys haven't won a championship, that's what's causing the level of anger. That's what's causing the level of bitterness. That's what's really fuming you. Because had you guys have won multiple championships and Baltimore didn't win anything, y'all would not care. You would be sitting here laughing in the face of Baltimore. If Cleveland was sitting here with 2 championships and Baltimore had 0, we would be celebrating our 30-year anniversary. You wouldn't even bat an eye. You wouldn't care. You would be laughing and talking about how Art Modell got the ultimate karma because the team he moved to Baltimore couldn't even win. Meanwhile, we got a new team 3 years later and we won multiple championships. That's exactly how the fans would be acting in Cleveland. But because you haven't won anything, meanwhile, the team you lost won multiple championships, all you can do is seethe with rage. Completely understandable. Because I'm seeing Ravens fans coming at them like, man, what are they crying and complaining about? What are they getting mad at? It shouldn't really be this angry, bro. I mean, I didn't really do much anyway. Like, you have to understand that when you're a franchise that's done nothing but fail, and if in the situation that Cleveland's in, your former team goes to a new city and has success, wins championships while you didn't do anything, it's harsh. I was born 2 years after the Ravens were a team in 1996. 96 Ravens me in 1998, which is awesome. I just realized that too. Yeah, Special was like, I was meant to be a Ravens fan, but go Ravens. Bro, it's been 30 years. They need to let it go. They haven't won anything, so what is there for them to let go? You could say it could be 100 years, dude. When you haven't won anything and your former team has, there's nothing to. What else could they do? They have nothing to hold. They have nothing to look at that will allow them to let it go. Like I just said, if the Browns would have won championships, they don't care. Hell, there was some I was watching a podcast about this or an episode, whatever it was, about some Browns media guys. They were talking about this situation, and one of the guys literally sat back and said, if Cleveland was a successful team that had championships, we wouldn't care about this. But it's the fact that we've been a disappointment for so long and haven't won anything that makes this hurt so much. And it's more so the longtime fans of Cleveland and the longtime citizens of Cleveland that are really mad at this. It don't matter that it's 30 years. It don't matter that it could be 50 years, it could be 70 years, it could be 100 years. Dude, the Browns haven't won anything. They don't have anything that they can look to for success. They haven't even been to an AFC championship game. That's what has been. They have been to 0 AFC championship games since they've been established. I think they've won 2, maybe 3 playoff games since coming back in 99. They don't have any success to hold on to. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's won since the Browns came back in 99. Pittsburgh's won 2 championships. Baltimore's won 2 championships. And Cincinnati's at least been back to the Super Bowl. Cleveland, there's nothing to look at. It's been failure. It's been failure. It could be 30 years, it could be 50 years, it could be 60 years. They don't have they have no success to hold on to. They have no success to hold on to. This is all they have. Their franchise has been a joke since they came back in 99. The team that used to be theirs went on to win 2 championships. They don't have anything to hold on to successful-wise. So all they can do is be bitter. I don't even understand. You literally still have your history. It's not just about that, dude. They can have their history. They haven't won anything with this new iteration of the Browns. They haven't won anything. Again, you have to put yourself in their shoes. We lost the Colts. We lost the history and everything. We didn't have football in Baltimore for 12 years. If Baltimore never won a championship and the Colts in Indianapolis is holding that Peyton Manning championship, right? Would we not be bitter? We lost that history. We lost that history. They get it. They win a championship. We don't win anything in Baltimore. You don't think the city would be bitter about Irsay doing that? Also, here's the thing that makes it worse. Art Modell, when he moved the team, he took the players and the coaching staff. The draft pick that the draft pick that Cleveland had heading into the 96 season, we drafted Ray Lewis with that. That was Cleveland's pick. You don't think Cleveland thought they could get that? You don't think they think about that at night? The draft pick that they had in 96, heading into that draft when we drafted Ray Lewis, that was the Browns pick. They could have potentially drafted. It was still the same coaching staff relatively. So again, it's they don't have anything to hold on to success-wise. So this is all they have. They have to throw hatred towards us. Because we had the team that they used to have, and that team went on to win championships. They haven't won anything. They haven't won anything. Blame that on the staff. Dude, we took their staff. What staff? We literally took their... They kept the history, they kept the name, they kept the jersey, but we took their coaches, we took their staff, we took their players. So what staff? You mean the staff that ended up drafting Ray Lewis was the one they had in? It's no guarantees. I know that's the case. It's no guarantee, but it's still the same coaching staff, dude. Now who knows? Maybe if they were still in Cleveland, their mind gets clouded and they don't draft Ray Lewis. But it's still the same staff that went on that was in Cleveland. It's the same staff that was in Cleveland moved to Baltimore, and that's still the same staff that ended up drafting Ray Lewis. To make things even more interesting, which also hurt a lot of Browns fans, one of their legendary players in Ozzie Newsome, he ends up getting a GM position here with the Ravens, which was a great thing for Art Modell to do. Shout out to him. It was one of the greatest things he did for this franchise. He goes. That is a legendary player who played for the Browns. He goes and becomes the GM for this new team in Baltimore, in which they draft Ray Lewis. So it's things like this that just hurt Cleveland to an extent. If we were in that situation, we cannot pretend we won't have a level of... maybe us of the younger generation won't have that level of anger. But the older generation of players... not players, the older generation of fans, they would definitely have that level of anger. Especially if Baltimore never won anything. But Baltimore's won 2 championships, so we don't really care. We don't have that level of hatred. Well, Bill kind of just... Bill Belichick didn't come. He kind of just... He was not interested. He just moved on. He just moved on. He called it there. He just moved on. Shortly after that, he would end up trying to, go become the coach of the Jets and said, screw that. I don't want to do that. Let me go become the coach of the Patriots, and then next thing you know, that dynasty starts. So yeah, he moved on from that. He said, "Nah, I'm done with Cleveland, and I'm not going to Baltimore." He moved on from that. So we can't really say blame it on the staff, bro. We took their staff. 30 years of no success. It's time to self-reflect at that point. I mean, they've been self-reflecting. I don't know if there's anything they can do. I don't know what they could do. I really don't. I don't know what they could do to solve this problem. Sell the team and start. I've said this for years. Sell the team, start over, and burn this franchise to the ground. Keep the name and all the other stuff if you need to, or if you feel that's going to help. But this current iteration, fire. I'm not going to promote people getting fired, but like, if you feel like you need to just exterminate everything in regards to this current era of Browns football, take away everything. Have the owners sell the team to somebody else and just wipe everything out. Even get rid of the players. Start over from scratch. Well, at least they had LeBron. Yeah, I mean, that 2016 ring was great, but they don't have LeBron anymore, and they haven't had LeBron since 2018. So it's cool they had LeBron. I mean, yeah, won a championship. They'll take that. They'll take that. But you can win a championship in one aspect, and then the other aspect of sports can still suck. And it's just like, okay, that doesn't help. Um, and they turn around and backdoor Baker Mayfield. Just a sorry organization. I don't think Baker was ever gonna work out here. I really don't. Just the way things were going at that time was just very toxic, and it just did not look like it was gonna work out. The best thing that happened for Baker Mayfield was for him to get cut by the Browns, deal with the aspect of being irrelevant with the Panthers, have your one moment to prove yourself against the Rams, and then find a new home in Tampa Bay where he's having the best time of his life and he's playing the best football of his career. So it worked out for Baker Mayfield to get the hell out of Cleveland. He was never going to do anything serious in Cleveland. And funny enough, they're the one playoff win they've had in they actually had another one like what 2002 or something. He has one of the two playoff wins they've had this millennium. So shout out to him. And it's a memory that every Browns fan probably holds on to dearly because they smacked the hell out of the Pittsburgh Steelers in their building. Even though it was a COVID year, they still beat them. So yeah, I mean, this is the other aspect of what's going to make this an emotional game. For the Ravens aspect is celebrating 30 years and kind of figuring out what they're going to do in regards to Flacco. Because again, I still think they're going to do some sort of tribute for Flacco. You can't tell 30 years of history for the Ravens and not mention your first ever franchise quarterback. So it's possible Flacco gets a tribute video or something. I don't know what they're going to do in regards to Flacco, but I feel like they should do something for him. So we're going to be emotional on that side because we're going to be celebrating, and the Browns are going to be emotional because they're absolutely livid, they're heated, they're hurt, they're pissed off, and they want to see us get demolished. Unfortunately for them, I don't think the players care. You do realize Flacco was around. Flacco was around during that time, but go look at the team. Most, if not all, that roster was not around during the time Browns lost their team. So why would they care about that? Flacco was old enough to remember that. He was old enough to be around during that time. But look at everybody else on the team. I don't think they really care. Like these players, I don't think they care. The Browns players do not look like they care about this whole aspect of the 30th anniversary. Like, I don't think they actually care because, again, they weren't around during that time, so why would they care? St. Louis can't be mad. LA had the Rams first. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. San Diego can be pissed off, though. San Diego can be pissed off. I ain't gonna lie, man. Spanos is such a ugh. I really wish the Chargers didn't leave San Diego. Like that was a good spot, man. That was a good spot for them. Nobody talks about San Diego like that. They had the Chargers. They really were something. LA did not need two football teams. And the real football team in LA is the Rams because they won a Super Bowl. The Chargers they didn't do nothing here, man. They didn't do nothing here. Somebody gotta go start a petition, man. LA don't need. LA already got two basketball teams. They don't need two football teams, bro. Give San Diego their team back, please. Oh my goodness. Give San Diego their team back, dog. Give San Diego their team back. Please give San Diego their team back. Okay, I grew up when they were the San Diego Chargers. There's times where I may slip up. I don't know if I've done that during the stream, but there's times where I slip up and accidentally call them the San Diego Chargers because I grew up when they were in San Diego. So it's just like, come on, bro. And then with the Raiders, like Las Vegas Raiders. Sometimes I mess up and say Oakland Raiders because I grew up when they were in Oakland. And Oakland still they want their team back. But it's just, owners are going to make moves to bigger cities because it's going to bring them money, and the smaller cities get screwed over. With St. Louis, I mean, it's unfortunate, but yeah, the Rams kind of had them first, so it's just like, this is what it is. But seriously, move the Chargers back to San Diego. Like, move the Chargers back to San Diego. Like, please. Move the Chargers back to San Diego, dude. This is certain cities deserve their history back, you know? Like in basketball, I'm not saying give the team back. It's too late now. They've already established themselves as something new, and they just won a championship this year. But dog, the league's trying to expand and get some new teams in because they always look to do that. Give Seattle the Supersonics back. Can we bring back the Supersonics, please? Seattle deserves their team back. Please bring back the Supersonics. Okay, please bring back the Supersonics. And you could do yourself a favor. Any of the history that OKC may have taken, just give that back to Seattle. They don't even use those uniforms. Just give Seattle the Supersonics back, please. The Supersonics deserve to return back to Seattle. Give OKC the Thunder. They've established themselves as a franchise in Oklahoma. You don't have to move that. They're there. But when you expand, give Seattle their team back. Give them back their history. San Diego deserves to get back their football team. LA already got a football team in the Rams. They don't need two. They don't need two. And I wouldn't mind the basketball team in Baltimore. I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that at all. I'd be down for it if they wanted to do so. But yeah, give San Diego their team back. LA does not need two football teams. They don't even care about two football teams. When you go watch LA Charger games, there's more fans of opposing teams in that stadium than there is of fans that are actually supporting the Chargers. But in San Diego, that was not the case. That was not the case. In San Diego, they were filling up those stadiums because there ain't a lot of things to do in San Diego. They loved that football team, and they deserve to get their team back. Damn, everything's just tough, man. This is crazy. I hope he's okay. I might have to call him for that. Just make sure he's good. I wouldn't mind a basketball team in Baltimore, but dog, give San Diego their team back. You know what? After this stream, I'm gonna watch old Charger games. I want to watch old San Diego Charger games. I want to relive the history of the San Diego Chargers because they deserve their football team back. LA don't need two football. It never made sense to me. It never made sense to me as to why the Chargers are in LA, man. It never. It Spanos just moved there for money's sakes. But dog, the city got their team taken away, bro. Please, I wouldn't mind it, bro. Let San Diego get their team back, man. Let San Diego get their team back. Like who do San Diego ain't got a lot left, bro. I mean, I think they got the Padres. Man, give them their team back. Man, what is with us, man? We got some serious terrible luck. That's crazy. Good old crybaby Philip Rivers and the legend Antonio Gates. And they had Antonio Gates, obviously Philip Rivers. San Diego got the first YouTube video. Ooh. Um, damn, I'm about to. I'm about to really just go watch all these. I'm about to watch a bunch of San Diego Charger videos right now. But yeah, they had Phillip Rivers, they had Antonio Gates, they had LT. Man, they had a great team. They could have won the championship. If only Phillip Rivers didn't if he didn't tear his ACL in that AFC Championship game, well, if he didn't tear it prior to that, because he played on a torn ACL, if they didn't tear it. Maybe they beat the Patriots. I don't know. And they had a shot to beat the Patriots, and they shot. I think it was 06 or 07 when the Chargers had the chance to, and the worst possible situation happened. They picked off Tom Brady, and then let me see if I can find that play, man. It's probably one of the darkest hours for Chargers history. Let me see. I don't even know if that was that in 06? I'm trying to remember because they picked off. Was that the 06? Hold on, let me see. It was 06, yeah. So it was the 2006 divisional round. Shout out to Donovan Carter with the $2 donation. Appreciate it, brother. Zero expectations for the Ravens tomorrow. Mental health. I feel you on that. Was it 06? I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at it right. Wait, yeah. No, it was 06. It was 06. It wasn't 07. 07 is when he played on the torn ACL. What I'm thinking, you're right about that, John. 07 is when Phillip Rivers played against the Patriots on the torn ACL. The play I was thinking about where I said it was one of the most painful moments in Chargers history was in the 06 divisional round because the Chargers were set up to play. The Chargers came into that game and looked like the better team. They looked like the better team, and for much of the season, heading into that game, it looked like the Chargers were the better team and they were going to beat the Patriots in the divisional round in 06. But I just based on how they looked, because I'm pretty sure I think the Chargers had the 3 seed and the no, the Chargers had a higher seed. The Patriots went in as underdogs. I think the Patriots had a 3 seed and the Chargers with a 2 seed. Because the Colts had the number 1 seed that year in 06. They won the championship. But in 06, the Chargers hosted the Patriots, and in one of the most brutal moments in Chargers history, they had the Patriots dead to right because Brady got picked off in the fourth quarter, and they were up. Brady got picked off in the fourth quarter. They were up by 8. They were up. The Chargers, they were the 1 seed that year. Yeah, so they were the better team. So yeah, thank you for that, Justin. So yeah, the Chargers were the 1 seed because I know they hosted the division round, and the Chargers looked like the better football team all year as compared to the Patriots. The Chargers. So yeah, that means the Chargers had the 1 seed, and the. Oh, John, you're right. You're right. Oh boy, that actually. Oh my god. Oh my god. You're right. You're right about that. I completely forgot. This is '06. The most thing there's two things I remember from '06, and I don't even remember where we placed. I remember Peyton Manning winning the Super Bowl that year and us blowing it. You're absolutely right about that, John. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes it's hard to go back to history, and I always appreciate the context here. But yeah, that was in '06. I nearly thought that was in '05 where we had that a number 2 seed that 13-3 year. You're right. Chargers were the number 1 seed in 2006. They looked like the best team in the league. 2006, I almost mistaken it for 2005. 2006 was when the Ravens were 13-3. They took on the Colts in the wild card. We had the best defense in the league in '06, and they held Peyton Manning to 6 field goals. But because we couldn't get anything going offensively, it was Steve McNair was done. He was battling through injuries all year that year. He barely had anything left. He barely had anything left. He barely had anything left in that aspect, and he gave it his all, but he played terrible in that playoff game, and he was hurt. So Ravens end up getting knocked out. Chargers do win. The Chargers had the number 1 seed, and actually we didn't even no 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 no. I'm sorry. Chargers had a bye week. Ravens had a bye week. This is back when the number 1 and number 2 seed had bye weeks. I miss those times. I miss those times. No, I'm pretty sure. No, in '06, I'm pretty sure we had the number 1 defense. and the Bears were two. I could go back and check that, but I could have sworn the Ravens were one and the Bears were two. In '06, I thought the Ravens had the number one defense in '06. I mean, I may be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure the Ravens had the number one defense in the league overall because it was close between them and the Bears. I thought the Bears had the number two defense. I knew they had the number two defense, but I thought the Ravens. Let me check this. Let me check this as well because it could just be one of these things where they were looking at it. Maybe because I could have sworn the Ravens were the number one defense. I could also be wrong about that. It's hard to remember every aspect. That's why you got to fact check. Yeah, the Ravens, at least according to the data here, the Ravens were the number one defense in 2006. It was close between them, the Patriots, and the Bears, but yeah, the Ravens had the number one defense in 2006. It may have been close, but I could have sworn. I could have sworn the Ravens had. Then again, I don't even know how they fully operated because some of the data I'm seeing here has the Ravens as the number one defense in the league in 2006. But I don't know how credible this information is here. It it could definitely be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Ravens had the number one defense in the league in 2006. Because there's only been three times the Ravens had the number one defense. I'm pretty sure '06 was that. I'd have to look into that. Anyway, that's semantics. That's semantics. Yeah, '06 was tough for the Chargers because they were the best team in the conference. They took on this was back when I missed the seeding. This was back when the one seed and the two seed had bye weeks. Ravens played the Colts in the divisional round. Chargers played the Patriots in the divisional round. Ravens lost at home to the Colts. And the Chargers, in one of the most painful moments in franchise history, they were up 21-13. They picked off Tom Brady. All they had to do was get down. But I don't remember who picked him off. He got hit, fumbled the ball, and the Patriots got it back. Patriots go on to win this game, and they go to the AFC Championship game when they go to Indy because Indy had a higher seed than New England. They go to Indy, and Indy wins, and then Peyton Manning gets his first ring. But yeah, tough time for the Chargers. Tough time for the Chargers. Let me see a question here before we get back to the Ravens because we went off topic here again. Has Flacco beaten every NFL team except the team that drafted him? No. Um, no, I don't think he's beaten every team. I would have to fully look at it, but no, he hasn't beaten every team. I am well. It has it started yet? Has that fight started? Doesn't it start till like 11? It's gonna be the last. If it started right now, then I'll have to get off stream. But no, I'm not. I don't. I'm not watching it. If are you asking, am I gonna watch it or am I watching it? Because I'm not watching it right now. I thought it hadn't started yet. If the fight just got started, I should probably end the stream now. But I thought it was gonna start at like what 11:30. Isn't gonna be the last fight of the night, the main event? Because they always have the other fights prior to the main event. If the fight started, then I probably should get off and try to go watch it. If it hasn't started, we can still got time. But I thought the fight hadn't gotten started yet. If it has, I should probably go watch it now. But yeah, we gotta get back on the topic for the Ravens so we can wrap this. It hasn't started yet, yeah, because I thought it. I know the main. I'm gonna watch it. I'm most likely gonna watch it. But yeah, I know it's not gonna start. It's the main event, so it always is the last fight of the night. That's not gonna start till like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. So yeah, I'm a watch that. I don't plan to be here for that long on this stream, but I'm gonna certainly watch it. I'm gonna absolutely watch it. So yeah, yeah, the undercard should be first, then the fight later. You're right about that. But yeah, we do got to get back to the Ravens. I'm just looking at some of these comments here. But yeah, I don't think Flacco's beaten every team. Hmm. Everyone in the division is fine. Yeah, he did. I remember that. Um, yeah, we did that. Yeah, we did that. That's what it's being. Yeah, I know there's one. Yeah, we did 20. Okay, so yeah, everyone in our division he's beaten except the Ravens. Everyone in the AFC West he's beaten. AFC East we beaten them, beat them, beat them, and then who am I thinking of? Oh yeah, we beat them. Okay, so that's the AFC East, AFC South. We've certainly beaten them with him. Um, have we beaten Jacksonville with Flacco? I'm not even going off of looks. I'm going off of memory because I remember the games that we played. Hold on. Let me see. I need to check this out real quick. Flacco's beaten 30 NFL teams. He has not beat. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if my memory serves me right. Seattle. He hasn't beaten the Seahawks. He hasn't beaten the Seahawks. Shout out to Devon Carter with the $2 donation. Appreciate it, brother. Depends on which version of Flacco we get. I mean, that's a good one there in terms of who's the best Ravens quarterback. I'm gonna answer that next because I just saw that. But yeah, John Flacco has not beaten every game, every team. He has beaten 30 out of 32 teams. If he beats the Ravens tomorrow, that'll be the 31st team. He's never beaten Seattle. He's played against the Seahawks once and he lost to them. So he's never beaten the Seahawks. That's it. So he's beaten 30 teams. He's never beaten Seattle. And he's only faced off against them once. Mm. Who would you say is the best Ravens quarterback, Flacco or Lamar? In terms of accomplishments, in terms of team accomplishments, Flacco would get the edge there because he's won the team a championship. But if you're talking about who's the better quarterback, Lamar is definitely the better quarterback. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Flacco's most likely not going to the Hall of Fame. Lamar's won multiple MVPs. He's been a multiple time first team All Pro, multiple time Pro Bowler. He's led the league in touchdown passes, and again, he's going to, and he's also broken a bunch of records, including Michael Vick's career rushing yards. Lamar Jackson's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's going to the Hall of Fame as a Ravens quarterback. He is technically the best Ravens quarterback we've ever had. But Flacco's won a championship, so all of us in the fan base have sat back and said, yeah, Lamar is definitely the better quarterback of the two. But Flacco has that ring. So we like to be hesitant to give Lamar the crown because Flacco has that ring. But if we're asking who the better quarterback is, it's Lamar. Flacco's got that ring, and it matters. It matters in that aspect of who you beat and stuff like that. But if we're talking about who's the better quarterback, it's Lamar. I didn't even realize this because I've been going back and seeing some old Flacco stuff. Bro, Flacco was a major turnover machine for us, dog. Flacco was a major turnover machine. You gotta appreciate what you're getting with Lamar Jackson. Lamar has 1 year where he's thrown double-digit interceptions. And that was in 2021 when he was trying to carry a team with half the half the roster on IR. 2021 he had 16 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Dog, that is the only year of Lamar's career where he has thrown double-digit interceptions. Joe Flacco from 2008 until 2018. Basically, his entire time from 2008 to 2017, his entire career as the franchise quarterback for the Ravens, Joe Flacco has thrown double-digit interceptions in every single year of his career as a Raven. The only year he didn't throw double-digit interceptions as a Raven was in 2018, and he did not finish that year, and he was well on his way. Because I was going back and rewatching these games, and I'm just like, damn, Flacco keep throwing all these damn picks. Go back and watch the old games. There's a reason why people had mixed feelings about Joe Flacco, even though we won the championship. This guy is a turnover machine. People don't speak about this. Joe Flacco was a major turnover machine. This is his statistics on a year-to-year basis. Touchdown interception ratio. 2008 rookie year, 14 touchdowns, 12 picks. 2009, 21 touchdowns, 12 picks. 2010, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. 2011, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2012, our Super Bowl year, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 2013, 19 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. 2014, Flacco's best statistical year, 27 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2015, 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and that's with him playing 10 games, and he got injured in the Rams game where he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL. He was out for the rest of the season. 2016, he came back, 20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. 2017, 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. His final season as the Ravens starting quarterback. He played 9 games before he got hurt against the Steelers and did not return because Lamar Jackson became the starting quarterback. That year, he was on his way to have another double-digit interception season. He had 12 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Dude, Flacco was a turnover machine in Baltimore. There's a reason why people were frustrated with this guy. Every year, he had double-digit interceptions as the starting quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. So if you're asking who's the better quarterback, it's going to be Lamar. Lamar's going to be remembered as the better quarterback. That's not hyperbole. That is just the fact of the situation. Lamar's had one season in which he has turned the ball over, in which he's like thrown double-digit interceptions. One season where he's thrown double-digit interceptions, and that was the worst season of his career, and that was the worst year for the Ravens because it was similar to 2015. Half the team was on IR, and Lamar was trying to carry a team that didn't have a lot of talent. And when you have all your guys out of the roster, you're going to force some things. You're going to get picked off a lot. So, yeah, 2021 is the only time Lamar had double-digit interceptions. Other than that, Lamar, for most seasons, hasn't really come close to really throwing double-digit interceptions. He's usually been around 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, yeah, he's been around that 4, 5, 6, 7 area in terms of interceptions on the season. So, yeah, Lamar doesn't really throw a lot of interceptions, whereas Flacco had double-digit interceptions. The Super Bowl is what allows a lot of us to sit back and be hesitant and saying, well, Lamar, we can't put you, or we can't solidify you as the best quarterback in franchise history because you don't have that ring and Flacco does. But if we're just being realistic about who's been the better quarterback in that jersey between Flacco and Lamar, it's been Lamar. It's not even a difficult conversation there. Lamar's going to go in the Hall of Fame as a Ravens quarterback. He's statistically the best. He's going to end up passing all of Flacco's stats, and it's going to be much more efficiency. It's going to be a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers type compensation where Aaron Rodgers passes everything Brett Favre did, and he did it with more efficient numbers. That's what's going to happen with Lamar and Flacco. But Flacco's got the ring, so, that gives him the edge there. But yeah, Lamar's definitely the better quarterback. But Flacco, in that playoff run, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. If we would have got that Flacco in the regular season, we're having a different conversation here. Yeah, Lamar needs to get that chip. If Flacco can do it, he can do it. The thing about it is the team has to show up as a whole. That has to be said. Flacco didn't just do it on his own. Guys have to show up and make plays. Name one guy on that offense that has been able to consistently make plays like Anquan Bolden did. Do we got an Anquan Bolden type player? Well, prior to this year, because you can argue D-Hop could be that role. I'm just saying. You can argue DeAndre Hopkins. You just throw him the ball in this direction, he's going to do that. But D-Hop is a guy he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. At some point, he was a top 3 receiver, arguably the best receiver in the league in some people's minds. So D-Hop this might be the year that you have somebody that you can actually say is like, okay, he brings that Anquan Bolden type nature because you just throw him the ball, he's going to make the catches. Contested, not contested, one-handed, he's going to make those plays. But prior to entering this NFL season, name any of the previous receivers we've had that have had that Anquan Bolden type impact. We don't win the Super Bowl if Anquan Bolden's not on this team. It's just a matter of fact. Guys have to make plays. Jacoby Jones made the biggest play in franchise history. We're not sitting here with 2 championships if Jacoby Jones doesn't catch that pass. Flacco not turning the ball over is perfect, And that's a big part of why we won. But it's still a team game and guys have to make plays. People forget. I mean, Corey Graham had 2 picks off of Peyton Manning in that division round game. One of those was for a pick six. That plays a role, especially because our grandioso, our oh so special head coach that used to be a special teams coordinator. You know what his special teams did that day? That day against the Denver Broncos in the division round. You know what John Harbaugh, former special teams coach, you know what his special teams did? They gave up a punt return and they gave up a kick return to Trendon Holiday. Punt return, opening drive. We get the we get the ball first. Opening drive. We don't do anything with it. Flacco punts. The Flacco and the offense can't get it done. We punt to Trendon Holiday. You know what Trendon Holiday does? Takes it to the house, punt return, touchdown. That was Harbaugh's special teams, by the way. We tied the game up 21-21 and go into halftime. And then we come out of halftime, kickoff. What does that special teams do? Give up a kick return touchdown to Trendon Holiday. It doesn't matter how well Flacco was playing in that game. By the way, Torrey Smith was absolutely abusing Champ Bailey. Oh my God, Champ Bailey had one of the worst games of his career. You know, at that point, it's like, all right, Champ, bro, it's time to pack it up. You were a legend, but it's time to pack it up, bro. I did not expect Torrey Smith to cook Champ Bailey the way he did. That was disgusting. That was disgusting. Torrey Smith cooked the hell out of Champ Bailey in that game. Oh my goodness. That was too easy. That was too easy. I don't know what Champ Bailey was doing there. And again, plays have to be made and guys have to make mistakes. To this day, we still thank God Raheem Moore just made a mistake. I don't know how he's supposed to be deeper on his coverage because he's the safety there. He's supposed to be deeper on the coverage because they sent 4 and backed up 7 into coverage. And Raheem Moore as a safety has to be deeper than that because he's got to cover that half of the field. And Raheem Moore, he just plays it terribly. Jacoby Jones is right there for the catch, and he's just gone into the end zone because Raheem Moore played it so bad as a safety. If Raheem Moore does his job, we're losing that game because Flacco, for some random reason, on second down, decided to scramble for 5 yards. And it's like, what are you doing? We don't got timeouts. Yeah, but, Jacoby Jones made the play. Cool. Corey Graham picked off Peyton Manning not once but twice in that game. These things play a role. So as much as we love the look of Flacco, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions, guys do have to make plays. Colts game, we ain't really worried about that. But in that Broncos game, that was a team effort because the defense gave up 21 points. The defense was fine. The defense gave up 21 points. The Broncos defense gave up 38. The Broncos defense gave up 38 points. The Ravens defense gave up 21. 14 of their 35 points came off of special teams touchdowns. People remember this. Everyone's like, well, Flacco won this. The defense weren't doing their job, but Flacco won this game 38-35. That's not the defense's fault. The special teams gave up 2 return touchdowns. Is that their fault? I think it was 3 touchdown passes by Peyton Manning. The first one was to who was it? It was Stokely. Stokely had the first touchdown. I think Marion had the second touchdown. And then the third touchdown was Demaryius Thomas. So yeah, it was just 3 offensive touchdowns for the Broncos. Everyone wants to sit back and be like, man, the defense didn't show up to play that day. What defense didn't show up to play? They gave up 21 points. If we're going off of what the defense did, Flacco and the offense would have blown these dudes out. The defense gave up 21. The offense put up 38. The special teams gave up 14 points, and people forget this. That's when people said, hey, man, that defense didn't really show up to help Flacco in that playoff run. What? They gave up 9 points to Andrew Luck and the Colts. In the AFC Championship game, we won 28-12 or 28-13. They gave up 13 points to Tom Brady in New England and gave up 21 points to Peyton Manning. But it's somehow the defense didn't help out just because the special teams was pissing themselves? Come on, guys. It's a team effort. That's why anytime someone wants to sit back and say the defense didn't really show up, the only time you can make the argument the defense didn't show up was in the Super Bowl. And one can argue that everything shifted once the lights went out. Because prior to that, the Ravens defense was holding the Niners to 6 points of offense. It was 28-6. So people sitting back and saying that defense didn't help Flacco out. He didn't know. Please go back and rewatch that run. The Ravens defense gave up 9 points to Andrew Luck. The Ravens defense gave up 21 points to Peyton Manning. The Ravens defense gave up 13 points to Tom Brady. Those aspects play a role in why we got to the Super Bowl. The only time the defense didn't really show up was in that second half where they gave up all those points. And one can argue, again, like I said, the lights going out changed the momentum of that game. It completely shifted everything. The Ravens defense was dominating. The Ravens offense was putting up points. Jacoby Jones had a 108-yard kick return for a touchdown. Defense was doing their job. Offense was executing. The lights go off. Everything shifts. Ray Rice fumbles for no random reason. I don't get the aspect where people want to just say it's just one guy that did it. That's not the case. And people that want to sit back and say that defense didn't do their job in the postseason, please, especially, I see so many people point to the Broncos game in which they say the defense didn't do their job. And I keep saying, did you go and watch that game? Did anybody go and watch that game? Because I'm tired of people sitting back and saying the defense didn't do their job in 2012. Did you? Because they always point to that Broncos game. They gave up 35 points. No, they didn't. They gave up 21. If the special teams doesn't blow it with 2 touchdowns, we beat these guys by double digits just based off of the fact that our offense was clicking on all cylinders. And hell, we don't even need to think about them beating them by double digits. We probably win by 7. You don't even get the Hail Mary from Jacoby Jones because the offense was doing their job. We don't need to be pressed because we were doing our job offensively. It was literally, we were doing our job offensively. The defense was doing their job. You held Peyton Manning to 21 points of offense. You held Tom Brady to 13. You held Andrew Luck to 9. What are you talking about? The defense didn't show up. It was a team effort for us to win, and we nearly blew it in the Super Bowl. But people want to just say it was all Flacco or all the defense. No, it was a team effort. So no, this aspect of it. Flacco won a Super Bowl while beating Brady and Manning. Lamar has yet to beat Allen or Pat in the playoffs. That's a fair assessment. But again, this is why people get on the Ravens as a team as a whole. Because we sit back and say Flacco won while beating those guys. It took the Ravens defense making plays against those guys for us to win that game. It wasn't just Flacco outplayed Brady and Manning easily, and that's why we got what we got. No, the Ravens defense shut down Brady in the second half. The Ravens defense held Peyton Manning to 21 points of offense. It's our special teams that was costing us the game. Flacco played phenomenal, absolutely. But the defense did their job, forcing turnovers. In this era of Ravens football, our defense doesn't create turnovers. You want to beat Patrick Mahomes? You want to beat Josh Allen in the playoffs? Create some damn turnovers. How about you do that? Create some damn turnovers, and maybe we could talk about Lamar having a ring right now. That doesn't mean Lamar does not play a role in those losses. He's got to stop turning the damn ball over. But he doesn't have the luxury that Flacco had because we beat the Patriots in 2009. We blew them out. It started off with a Ray Rice 80-yard touchdown. Ed Reed had a pick off of Brady. Brady threw like 2 or 3 picks in the first half. The Ravens defense was creating turnovers like crazy in 2009, and we dominated the Patriots. Flacco finished that game 4 of 10, 34 yards and an interception. What role did he play to win that one? Go look at Flacco's stats when we got to the AFC Championship game his rookie year. Go look at his stats from 2008 to 2010. Those aren't great stats. There's a reason why people had questions as to whether or not this guy could lead us to a championship. Stop pretending that 2012, 11-0 is how Flacco's always been in the playoffs. That is not true. 2008 to 2010, people were calling for this man to not be here past his initial contract. There was a reason why the Ravens were hesitant to give him a big contract. There's a reason why Flacco saw the contract he was offered and said, I'm going to take a bet on myself, because he wasn't getting offered much, because he didn't look like that guy in the postseason. Then he did what he did in 2012, and the franchise had no choice but to give him that money. Come to find out, he wasn't really worth that money. But he proved himself, so you couldn't even be mad. But that's the thing. Lamar can't, he has to cut down on the turnovers. Those turnovers hurt the team tremendously. And the worst part is his turnovers are happening in the worst moments of the game. But everybody else in the offense has to follow suit. Zay Flowers can't fumble the ball. Mark Andrews can't fumble the ball. Guys have to make sure they hold on to the football. The old Ravens in the playoffs, they weren't turning the ball over that much, even though Flacco wasn't looking that great. And the defense was creating turnover after turnover after turnover. You remember what we did to the Dolphins with Chad Pennington in 08? Just creating turnover after turnover. Flacco and the offense didn't have to do much because they were creating turnover after turnover. What's missing from this era of Ravens football is turnovers. This defense does not generate turnovers. They don't put Lamar in great field position coming on the field. We got to march down the field on these long drives in the playoffs, and our defense isn't helping us with turnovers. In previous Ravens playoff games, with those Hall of Famers on the defense, Flacco was getting perfect field position. And we were running the hell out of the ball because we had Ray Rice and we had Willis McGahee. We had what we needed. And you had every freaking game you're just watching over and over again. Ed Reed, interception. You had interceptions coming out of nowhere. Ed Reed making a play here. Ray Lewis getting a pick out of nowhere. Ray Lewis just smashing dudes down on the dirt. Terrell Suggs coming off the edge and just pummeling the quarterback. That's what we had. That's why we were able to win those games. We still talk about this to this day. If we would have had a legit franchise quarterback during the prime years of our defense, we would have won a damn championship. You don't think people play this what-if scenario with Lamar? What if we had Lamar in the 2000s? Do you know we wasted a Hall of Fame defense? We're happy and blessed that that group of guys, that trio, got a Super Bowl. We're happy for that. But dog, we should have won multiple championships in the 2000s. If we had a competent quarterback, if we had a legit franchise quarterback during the 2000s, we could have been a dynasty. With that defense, with those guys, we would have been a dynasty. But we didn't have that. This era of Ravens football, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. We're used to watching guys create turnovers from our defense. Bro, this defense don't create turnovers. They don't. You can go back to a numerous amount of playoff games and just watch Ed Reed just pick off quarterbacks. We didn't do that. We don't do that. We don't. Matter of fact, we got time too, because let me go look at these old playoff games too for the Ravens. I wanna look at these playoff games for the Ravens because I want to point out the amount of. Let's see these turnovers here. Let's see something here. All right. So, let's actually during those prime times because I'm gonna do from 08. I'm gonna do the Flacco era from 08 to 2014 because he had that time there. Let's look at the 08 playoffs. So we'll start with the wild card round against Chad Pennington and the freaking Dolphins. Let's see what happened here. Let's see here. Dog. I hate this era of Ravens football. I hate. Dog, I didn't even know it was this much. In a playoff game? So in 08, I didn't even remember them out. The Ravens beat the Dolphins in 08, 27-9. The Ravens defense in 08 forced. Let me see this again. I need to make sure I maybe just yep. Once, yep. Dog, I'm not. Listen to me. Chat. Listen to me. 2008 wild card round against the Miami Dolphins, against Chad Pennington and that Dolphins team. We won 27-9. The Ravens defense forced 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers. Ed Reed had 2 picks in that game. We don't get that nowadays. 5 turnovers forced by that defense in that game against the Dolphins. 5. I shouldn't be yelling right now. My voice has been strained. A little sore throat. But 5. In that 08 game against the Dolphins, our defense forced 5 turnovers, and we won 27-9. 5 turnovers. Ed Reed had 2 picks. We can't even get one in this era. We had a Hall of Fame defense, 5 turnovers in the playoff game, and we can't do nothing with. Nah, oh my god. I mean, we did something. We won the damn game, but like I'm just saying, we pray for moments like that with this type of defense. 5 turnovers, 5, dog. Second game, divisional round, 2008 against the oops. Sorry, 2008 against the Tennessee Titans. We win that game. Trying to pull it up. We win that game 13-10. It was a very, very tough game. The Ravens defense in that game forced 3 turnovers. So in 2 playoff games, which we won, in 2 playoff games in 2008, the Ravens defense forced 8 turnovers in 2 playoff games. But it was all Flacco, right? Y'all, this magical journey that y'all talk about, Flacco, playoff Flacco, January Joe, it didn't happen until the Super Bowl run. 2 playoff games in 2008 to get us to the AFC Championship game, Flacco's rookie year. The defense created 8 turnovers. That's how we got to the AFC Championship game. Flacco just had to be decent, which he was, thank God. But they caught up to us because you couldn't play decent against the Steelers. Not that defense. But 8 turnovers created by that 08 defense in 2 playoff games. 8 turnovers in 2 playoff games. Then you play the AFC Championship game, the game in which Flacco threw a stupid pick 6. Defense in that game created 1 turnover, so we ultimately lost. But it was a crucial turnover that we needed. So in 3 playoff games, Baltimore had 9 turnovers that they created. 3 playoff games, 9 turnovers. Dog, this is ridiculous, man. Where is this defense, dog? Baltimore turned the ball over 4 times against Pittsburgh. No wonder we lost. Jesus Christ, Flacco. 9 turnovers in 3 playoff games. This is 2008. 2008, the Ravens defense in 3 playoff games created 9 turnovers. They had 5 turnovers in the wild card round in which they dominated the Dolphins, 3 turnovers in the tough, tight game against the Tennessee Titans, and they forced a turnover against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game, but we lost. That was 2008. 2009, wild card round against the New England Patriots. Baltimore created 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers. We won that game 33-14. 4 turnovers created by the Ravens defense. We took on the Colts in the divisional round in 2009. We lost that game. Let me pull up the box score for the divisional round between the Colts. We lost the Colts in 2009, and that's the year they went on to the Super Bowl and lost to the Saints. Yeah, our defense created 1 turn again. Baltimore 4 turnovers in that. Jesus, Flacco. We lost 20-3. So in 2 playoff games, you got a total of 5 turnovers from the Ravens defense in 2 playoff games. 5 turnovers in 2 playoff games. Let me get a pen and pencil. I want to write this down and let you know how many turnovers the Ravens defense created within a 5-year span from 2008 to 2012. So 2008, let's just write this down so I can let you guys know how many turnovers that defense created in the postseason. 2008, they created 9 turnovers. 2009, they created 5 turnovers. Let's go to 2010. 2010 wild card round. We took on the Kansas City Chiefs. We smoked them 30-7. The defense created 5 turnovers against the Chiefs. 5 turnovers right there. And then we moved on to the divisional round in which we took on the Pittsburgh Steelers in that game, which we already talked about when Baltimore blew it. They had a 21-7 lead and blew it. Baltimore's defense created 2 turnovers. So in 2 playoff games, 7 turnovers in 2010. 2011, here we go. We had a bye week because we were the number 2 seed. We took on the Houston Texans in 2010, beat them 20-13. Baltimore's defense created a total of 4 turnovers in that game against the Houston Texans. We went on to the AFC Championship game in which we should have won if Lee Evans holds onto the ball. The defense creates 3 turnovers. So in 2 playoff games in 2011, they created 7 turnovers. 2012, when we won the Super Bowl. 2012, when we won the Super Bowl. In the wild card round against the Colts, we won 24-9, 2 turnovers by the defense. Divisional round against the Denver Broncos, 3 turnovers. AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots, 3 turnovers. Super Bowl against the Niners, in which we won our second Super Bowl in franchise history, 2 turnovers. In 4 playoff games, Baltimore created 10 turnovers. Then we can get into 2014. If we want to stop there, because that's the end of the Ray Lewis and Ed Reed era, that's fine. But if we want to add 2014, just in case, 2014, the wild card round against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we created 4 turnovers. In the divisional round, we created 1. 5 turnovers in 2014. So if we're talking about the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed era during the that from 2008 to 2012, let me calculate this. $38. If we're talking about from 2008 to 2012, 38 turnovers forced by the defense. If we're going to add 2014, it's 33. Sorry, not 33. 43 turnovers. 43 turnovers. If you want, we could break it down and say, you know what? Let's look at the first 8 playoff games for Flacco in the Flacco era versus the first 8 playoff games for Lamar, and let's see how many turnovers happened there. Because I'm about to pull up the aspect of the turnovers that were created during the Lamar Jackson era, and you're going to find out just how bad this was. So if we want to just break it down and say within the first 8 playoff games, because Lamar has played 8 playoff games, in 8 playoff games, the first 8 playoff games here, Baltimore has, let's see, let's look, no, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll end with the divisional round. So let's see, 08, 29, 2010, and then we'll end with the divisional round here because it's 3, 5, 7, 8. So let's see, 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18 turnovers. If we're just going to compare it off of the first 8 playoff games we played with Flacco, the defense created 18 turnovers. If you want to take a look at the Lamar Jackson era, and we're talking about games that Lamar Jackson played in, 2018 playoffs, defense forced 1 turnover. 2018, 1 defensive turnover. 2019, 0. 2020, 0. 2021, we didn't go up to the playoffs. It's non-existent. 2022, Lamar did not play in that game. It was Tyler Huntley, but we forced 1. 2023, 0. 2024, 0. And you're wondering why we aren't winning playoff games? You're wondering why we're not winning playoff games. Yet we want to sit back and be like, man, Flacco's the playoff king. Really? Interesting. You sure it wasn't because of the Hall of Fame defense we had there? Let me remind you of what they did. From 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers. Within the first 8 playoff games that Flacco played in, the defense forced 18 turnovers. In the Lamar Jackson era, the first 8 playoff games they've played with Lamar Jackson under center, the defense has forced a total of 2 turnovers. And we're wondering why the Ravens can't get it done in January. Really? Really? I just want to reiterate this to the chat. From 2008, with the Hall of Fame defense there, from 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers in the postseason. 38 turnovers created by the Ravens defense from 2008 to 2012. 38 turnovers created in the postseason. 38. If you want to be fair and say, let's judge Flacco's first 8 playoff games with Lamar's first 8 playoff games, Lamar, in his first 8 playoff games, his defense has created 2 turnovers. In Flacco's case, his first 8 playoff games, his defense forced 18. And you're wondering why Baltimore can't get over the hump. Not saying the defense hasn't played well in the playoffs. They have done a decent job in some of these playoff games. But dog, it's a clear difference. That's why when y'all try to bring up, some of y'all try to bring up, well, Flacco, he was winning playoff games during the early day because his defense was creating all these turnovers. turnovers. I'm sure. Hey, man, I'm sure you can beat the Dolphins in your rookie year if your defense creates 5 turnovers against Chad Pennington. Oh, you're playing against the Tennessee Titans and you eke out a win. Flacco didn't play well, but your defense forced 3 turnovers, so of course you're going to win the game. Of course you can go into New England and blow them out in the wild card round with Flacco not playing well. Your defense forced 5 turnovers. Dude. Oh, sorry, you're right about that. 2020, Marcus Peters did. So, yeah, sorry. I don't know why I had that. You're right about that. 2020, yeah, Marcus Peters had that pick. So, yeah, I don't even know why I counted that. I have 2022, he has 1, and I accidentally counted it for Lamar. So, yeah, 2 turnovers. I was still correct, though. Appreciate you correcting me on that one. So, yeah, 2 turnovers in 8 playoff games. 2 turnovers in 8 playoff games during the Lamar Jackson era. Flacco's first 8 playoff games with this team, his defense forced 18 turnovers. And you are wondering why we can't get over the hump. We had a Hall of Fame defense forcing all these damn turnovers, and we couldn't win a Super Bowl until the end. Yet we're sitting here in the Lamar Jackson era with a defense that can't even create turnovers in the playoffs, and people are wondering why we're not getting over the hump, and we're putting it on Lamar. Well, the defense is playing good. The defense is looking decent. Dog, can the defense get some damn turnovers? Can you make your quarterback's job easy? Y'all want to sit here and praise Joe Flacco for all these playoff wins he had, but y'all weren't even paying attention to the Hall of Fame defense he had. Flacco has 10 playoff wins. Flacco has 10 playoff wins as a quarterback. He has 10 playoff wins. In those 10 playoff wins he has, let me actually look at the wins because I don't need to talk about the losses. Flacco has 10 playoff wins. Let me break it down even more. In his wins, let's take a look at this. So let's see. 2008, like I said, you had 2 games. We'll ignore the AFC Championship game. So that's 2008 in wins, 8 turnovers in 08. 2009, wild card 4. 2010, 5. 2011, 4. 2012, 10. 2014, 3. So in Flacco's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In Flacco's 10 playoff wins, wait, 34. There we go. So, just gonna break this down for you guys. I'm gonna break this down for you guys even more, just so you can understand exactly where I'm coming from. So, Flacco. Whoa, let's refresh this. I don't know what's going on here. Am I good? All right, we are good here. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up. There we go. There's the stream. I don't know what was happening here. But yeah, just to add even more context here. So let's give the whole context of the situation that we were talking about. The Ravens defense under Joe Flacco as the quarterback from 2008 to 2012, Baltimore's defense created 38 turnovers in the postseason. If you want to include 2014, which would be outside of the Ray Lewis and Ed Reed era, then if we decide to add 2014, in all the playoff games Flacco played from 2008 to 2014, his defense created 43 turnovers in the playoffs. If we want to make it fair and say let's compare Flacco's first 8 playoff games to Lamar Jackson's first 8 playoff games, Flacco in his first 8 playoff games, his defense created 18 turnovers in the first 8 playoff games. 18 turnovers created in the first 8 playoff games Flacco played. If we want to be fair and not fair, if we want to be even more specific and take a look at the turnovers that were created in the wins that Flacco and the Ravens had, Flacco has 10 playoff wins. In those 10 playoff wins, his defense created 34 turnovers. Meanwhile, for Lamar, from 2018 to 2024, Lamar's defense has created a total of 2 turnovers. If you want to talk, if you want to take away the losses and look at the 3 wins he has, in those 3 wins Lamar Jackson has, the defense has created a total of 1 turnover. That's what we're dealing with right now. You have a defense that can't create turnovers. We wasted a Hall of Fame defense that was creating this amount of turnovers. 38 turnovers in 5 years? We used to be feared, man. This is why no one wanted to face us in the playoffs. You know why they didn't want to face you in the playoffs? Because they created all these damn turnovers. 38 turnovers from 2008 to 2012. If we count 2014, 43 turnovers created by our defense. Meanwhile, in the Lamar Jackson era, we can only get 2 turnovers. And you wonder why we can't get over the hump. Does Lamar Jackson play a role as to why we can't win these playoff games consistently? Yes, he plays a role. But you want me to bring Flacco's numbers up during these games? Because Flacco has horrible, prior to 2012, Flacco does not have great numbers in these playoff games. That's where winning. Because while the defense is creating turnovers, the offense is turning the ball over multiple times, and we're still winning. In the Lamar Jackson era, we can't afford turnovers from Lamar Jackson specifically because his defense doesn't help him. If Lamar turns the ball over, that's it. If Flacco turns the ball over, Ed Reed's going to get the ball right back for you. You ain't got to worry about Flacco when the offense turned the ball over 2 times because the defense is going to create 5 turnovers. Hey, Flacco, you threw a pick. Don't worry. We got 3 turnovers for the day. We're going to be fine. The only time the Ravens were losing playoff games is when they lost the turnover battles. In the AFC Championship game, we turned the ball over, 4 times? Even though our defense created, 2 turnovers? It's just, it's ridiculous. You want to know the problem with the Ravens? It's that. It's that right there. They have a defense that can't create turnovers. They don't put their offense in a favorable position because they can't create turnovers. This is pathetic. You want to know the catalyst of why we kept winning playoff games during the 2008 to 2012 season? Is because you had a defense that could create a plethora of turnovers. They created turnovers in waves. Turnover in waves. The Ravens defense created turnover in waves. They had 2 playoff games. Let me see. They have 2 playoff games. Let me look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 2 playoff games where they created 5 turnovers. They have 2 playoff games where they created 4 turnovers. They have 5 playoff games where they created 3 turnovers. And you're wondering why we were winning playoff games during that time? When all you needed was a decent quarterback? You didn't even need a Hall of Fame quarterback. You just needed a decent quarterback. I didn't even realize it was this much. 38 turnovers? Our defense can't get a single one in the Ravens defense. This is why we're not feared. This is why the Ravens defense is not feared, especially in the postseason. It's ridiculous. I did not realize it was that bad. It's night and day, man. It's not even close. They need to trade. Oh, wait. I don't even know if that's going to solve the whole problems, man. Should I make a video on this, guys? Should I make a video on this? I want to know. This feels video worthy. I might make a video on this, guys. I might make a legit video because this is why nobody respects the Ravens defense anymore. Nobody respects the Ravens defense because of this. And I might do even more work. And let me see how many turnovers the Ravens defense was creating in the regular season. I may have to go and check that out. Because this is why no one respects the Ravens defense. From 2008 to 2018, the Ravens defense created 38 turnovers. In this era, we've created 2 from 2018 to 2024. 3 turnovers created by the defense. I gotta make a video out of this. This is serious. This is why no one respects the Ravens defense anymore. This is why no one fears us. There's no Ed Reed to save us. There's no Ray Lewis to save us. There's no Terrell Suggs to save us. There's no Haloti Ngata to save us. You don't have no dogs on that defense anymore. You ain't got no Ed Reed. You ain't got no Ray Lewis. You ain't got no T Sizzle. You ain't got no Haloti Ngata. You ain't got no damn Jimmy Smith. Dude, Jimmy Smith was hurt all the damn time, and he was still going toe-to-toe with Antonio Brown. He was still going toe-to-toe with A.J. Green. I watched this man go toe-to-toe with Megatron. I watched this man go toe-to-toe with Julio Jones. We ain't got no dogs on this damn team that can do that. No wonder this defense is so damn soft. 38 turnovers forced in playoff games from 2008 to 2012, and people are asking why we can't win in the postseason today? 3 turnovers in 8 years. 3 turnovers in 8 years from this defense in the postseason. But then they'll sit back and say, well, Lamar's turning the ball over. So is Flacco. The only difference is Flacco's turnovers were overshadowed. The Ravens offense can turn the ball over twice in the playoff game, and you leave the game with the win because the Ravens defense forced 5 turnovers. Dude, in 2008, but yeah, forget about that because we blew out the Dolphins. We blew out the Dolphins, right? We blew out the Dolphins. Let me bring up a different game. Let's use the 2009 wild card. Should I do 2009 or should I do 2010? Let me see. 2009, we blew them out. So the 2009 game where we blew out the Patriots, the Ravens, we beat the Patriots 33-14. The Ravens offense had 2 turnovers. But who cares about the Ravens offense having 2 turnovers? The Ravens defense forced 4 turnovers. Does it matter? So Flacco can... Dog, I need to point this out again. For anybody that's listening in the chat, the Ravens defense from 2008 to 2012 forced 38 turnovers in the postseason. From 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers. That's why we were feared. You couldn't throw on this team without them picking you off. You didn't feel comfortable without getting pressured and fumbling the ball. Shout out to Donovan Carter with a $2 donation. Offense is our defense. Harbs needs to learn that. In this era of Ravens football, our offense is our defense, dude. This defense is so damn soft. 3 turnovers in 8 years for this current gen Ravens defense. And one of the 3 turnovers happened in 2018, which was Terrell Suggs' final year as a Raven. So I'm accounting that to the Terrell Suggs era of the defense, which, by the way, T Sizzle's defense in 2 playoff games, because we played in 2014 and we played in 2018. If we're counting 2014 and 2018, we count that as that space after Ray Lewis, but T Sizzle's the last remaining Ravens great. If we count that, 2014 and 2018, we played 3 playoff games with T Sizzle being the leader of our defense. The Ravens defense created 6 turnovers in 3 playoff games, with T Sizzle still being here. The second we lose T Sizzle, we've created 2 turnovers in 8 years. With Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Terrell Suggs, the Ravens defense from 2008 to 2012 created 38 turnovers. Once Ed Reed and Ray Lewis was gone, T Sizzle was here. We played 3 playoff games with T Sizzle still being on the team. The Ravens defense created 6 turnovers in those 3 playoff games T Sizzle played. Since Terrell Suggs has left the franchise, we have created a total of 2 turnovers in these playoff games from 2019 to 2024. We don't have anything resembling the old greatness of the Ravens. And that's why you can't win. Everyone will praise, throw all this praise for Joe Flacco winning all these playoff games. Dude, you had a Hall of Fame defense that was doing this. The Ravens offense can turn the ball over twice in the playoff game. No matter, the Ravens defense going to force 4 turnovers. Who cares? Flacco threw a pick, we'll create 5 turnovers on the day. Like, that's why we were winning. That's why the Ravens were feared. Everybody saw this. But in the Lamar Jackson era, if Lamar makes a mistake, it's game over. He's getting no help from his defense. There's not an ounce of help. If Lamar turns the ball over, nobody on that defense is forcing a pick. That's why Lamar has to play perfect. Lamar has to play perfect if this team's going to win a Super Bowl because you can't count on this defense to get in the football back. You can't. The closest you got to trusting a defense in the Lamar Jackson era was 2023. They still couldn't create a turnover, but they at least held Mahomes to 17 points. You feel you can at least win that game. But other than that, no, this defense just, I can't believe this, man. 38 turnovers from 2008 to 2012. That's why the Ravens defense was feared. They just, oh, God. I'm going to have to make a video about this week. I'm not going to do that tomorrow. I'm not doing it tonight or tomorrow. Uh, expect a video on this upcoming week because we got to focus on the Browns. So we'll talk about that. The game is tomorrow. We'll more so focus on that. But damn, this is why nobody respects the Ravens defense. In the postseason, the Ravens defense has done nothing to create turnovers. 2 turnovers created post Terrell Suggs. 3 turnovers combined in the Lamar Jackson era. Meanwhile, from 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense has created. From 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers in the postseason. 38 turnovers in the postseason created by our defense from 2008 to 2012. That's why we were winning playoff games. When T. Sizzle was still here as the leader of the team, we played 3 playoff games and they forced 6 turnovers within those 3 playoff games. Since Terrell Suggs has left this franchise, the Ravens have created a total of 2 turnovers in the playoffs. And we're wondering why Baltimore can't get over the hump in the postseason. It's because your offense has to play perfect and your defense is just there in the playoffs. If Lamar makes a mistake, it's over. We're not winning the turnover battle in the postseason because this defense can't create turnovers to save their lives. This is humiliating. This is why no one respects the Ravens defense. This is exactly why nobody respects the Ravens defense. You went from a defense that was creating turnovers in waves in the playoffs to a defense that can't even generate a turnover to save their lives in the playoffs. All the talent in the world, and you can't create turnovers in the postseason. And you're wondering why we can't win playoff games consistently. It's because your defense is soft and they can't create turnovers. And if your offense makes a mistake and your quarterback throws a pick, it's game over. It's game over. Because if you don't win the turnover battle, you've got no shot. That's lovely. That's just lovely. I'm going to have to make a video on this. I am going to have to make a video on this. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to head on out of here. We've been here for 2 hours. I just spent the last hour just going through this. I cannot believe this is what the Ravens defense has become, man. We used to be watching gods play football. Now we gotta watch this soft excuse of a defense, bro. I can't believe this, bro. I really can't believe this. This done soured my whole mood. I'm gonna look at some of these comments and then I'm gonna call it because I know the fight's gonna get ready to start soon and I don't want to be here when the fight gets started. Um, so yeah, anyone that wants to talk about Flacco beating this guy and beating that one, Flacco played a role, but as we saw, the defense played a huge role in that. 38 turnovers in 5 years. Wow, I can't believe this, bro. I really can't believe this. We used to watch greatness from this defense in the playoffs. Now we got mid. We got underwhelming. Keys to the game: Ravens offense just BU. Ravens defense don't blow a lead. I mean, again, the Ravens are the better team. It's getting hard to put keys to the game for a team that's far superior than all the. You're far superior to the team you're playing on Sunday. You're supposed to dominate them. You're favored by like what 10 and a half, 11 and a half points. You're supposed to dominate this team. Offense, just play your game. The way you played week 1, play like that week 2. You've got an explosive offense. You should be able to run the ball. You should be able to punish them in the passing game. You've got an MVP quarterback. Yeah, offense, do what you do. Defense, try not to get burned in the secondary. Look to stop the run in some cases. And just try to get to Flacco. He's not Josh Allen, so he's not mobile. He's an older guy that's a statue quarterback. You should be able to get to Flacco. If you can't get to Flacco here, just cancel the season. That pass rush ain't doing nothing. How do you think the game is going to go? I said the Ravens are going to win 27-21 because I can't trust this defense to hold the Browns offense to under 20 points, and I think it's going to be a close game. Harbaugh has to keep from sabotaging them by slowing them down. I mean, Harbaugh's the head coach. He's going to do what he's going to do. If it hurts the team, who cares? At least according to him. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Yeah, Lamar doesn't have nowhere near the defense Flacco had. Exactly. Like I just said, 38 turnovers in 5 years in the postseason with this Ravens defense during the Flacco era. That's a putrid performance by the Ravens defense. Only have 2 takeaways and not that many playoff games. Dude, it is so pathetic. 38 postseason turnovers in 5-year worth of playoff games from 2008 to 2012. Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers, and you wonder why we won 10 playoff games during that time. Because you had a defense that created. In Flacco has 10 playoff wins. In those 10 playoff wins, his defense has forced 34 turnovers. Why do you think we're winning the games? Because defense is creating turnovers. Browns and Ravens games are always tough. Yes, that is. That is absolutely true. I'm so mad at our defense, man. I have zero confidence in this team. There's a realistic chance that all 3 of our rivals beat us. It'll probably happen. I basically every year for the last few years, I've penciled in a loss against all 3 of our teams. I mean, all 3 of our rivals over the last few years. I pencil in those as losses. Last year surprised me. I didn't expect us to sweep Cincinnati. But I expect us to lose to the Browns. I expect us to lose to the Steelers, and I expect us to lose to the Bengals. It's just how it works for us in this division. Defense has to learn how to cover people first before we think about turnovers. You gotta learn to do anything. Right? It doesn't even matter. They have to learn to tackle. How about that? Learn to tackle, and then we could talk about that. Forget about coverage. Learn to tackle first. Basic tackles on the runs and just tackle somebody. Defensive line and secondary are equally sorry. Just a hyped up team. It's just nothing but talent. They need to trade Owe. Who's going to take him? And what would you even get for him? A 7th-round pick? You may get a 7th, but you ain't getting nothing from him. It'd be cool to see Green get more snaps. Am I watching the fight tonight? I'm getting ready to get off because I don't know if that fight is getting started. Ravens defense playing like the Saints defense. Just sad, bro. Ravens, this is the easiest to win team. I mean, sure. I'm already depressed. Jay Frank, you can't appreciate you stopping by. What's going on, man? You came during the worst time because I'm getting ready to leave. But I want to tell you this right now, Jay Frank, as I'm getting ready to leave, because we just spent the last 50 minutes looking into the history of the Ravens defense. Jay Frank, I'm gonna leave you with this, my guy. The current gen Ravens defense is an embarrassment to their predecessors. There's a reason why the Ravens defense is no longer feared. Let me tell you this right now, Jay Frank. From 2008, no, matter of fact, I'll start with our defense. This current gen defense, in the Lamar Jackson era, this current gen defense from 2018 to 2024, they have forced a total of 2 turnovers in the playoffs. 2 turnovers. Jay Frank, 2 turnovers from this defense in this current era during the Lamar Jackson era, from 2018 to 2024. When we go back to the times of legend with that Hall of Fame defense with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and Aloti Nata, from 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers in the postseason. 38. From 2008, when we got Flacco as a rookie, to 2012, when we won the Super Bowl, the Ravens defense forced 38 turnovers. The year we won the Super Bowl in 2012, the Ravens defense forced 10 turnovers in those 4 playoff games. The year we went to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Steelers, the Ravens forced 9 turnovers. If we want to further that and talk about the era post Ray Lewis, but we still had Terrell Suggs. Terrell Suggs from 2014 to 2018 was the leader of the team. We played 3 playoff games with Terrell Suggs being there. The 2 playoff games in 2014 and the 1 playoff game in 2018. In those 3 playoff games, the Ravens defense forced 6 turnovers. Since Terrell Suggs left this franchise, the Ravens defense has forced a total of 2 turnovers in the playoffs. And people are wondering why we can't win in the postseason. People are wondering why the Ravens can't get it done in the postseason. And they'll prop up Flacco during that time and say Flacco is winning playoff games. I'll leave you with this too, Jay Frank. Flacco has won 10 playoff games from 2008 to 2014. That's where he got his 10 playoff wins. In Joe Flacco's 10 playoff wins, the Ravens defense created 34 turnovers. 34 turnovers created by our defense in Flacco's 10 playoff wins. In Lamar Jackson's 3 playoff wins, the Ravens defense has forced 1 turnover. And they're wondering why we can't win in January. The defense can't create turnovers. And if Lamar doesn't play perfect and makes a mistake, we're going to lose that football game. We used to be feared as a defense. You did not want to see this defense come January because of that exact reason. Nowadays, there's no fear factor. What is there to fear? You got a defense that can't create any ounce of turnover. Like I said, Charles, it's only 1 turnover. 3 playoff games for Lamar Jackson. In his 3 playoff wins, 1 turnover. In all the playoff games he's played, still 1 turnover. Well, technically, it's 2 when Lamar started the game because 2018 and 2020 are the 2 turnovers that happened when Lamar started the game. But 2018 was the last year Terrell Suggs was on that defense, so I let that slide. There was a lot of veterans that were on that 2018 defense. I don't want to really count that one. It was rookie Lamar Jackson. So from 2019 to 2024, when Lamar was the face of the franchise, our defense has created 1 turnover when he plays. The only other turnover that was created was by Kyle Hamilton in the 2022 wildcard round against the Cincinnati Bengals. So 1 turnover created when Lamar Jackson has been the quarterback in the postseason, and that 1 turnover happened in one of the 3 wins he has. So in 3 wins, Lamar's defense has forced 1 turnover. In the 10 playoff wins Joe Flacco has, the Ravens defense has forced 34 turnovers. And they wonder why nobody fears us in the playoffs anymore. Nobody fears this defense. You had a defense that created 38 turnovers in a 5-year span in the postseason. You go from that to a defense within a 6-year span only creates 2 turnovers. It's why we can't win in the playoffs. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. It's always a Lamar thing. And yes, Lamar's turnovers play a role. But there's other teams with their quarterbacks that can make mistakes in the playoffs and still overcome it. Patrick Mahomes he's had a plethora of turnovers. Their offense has had a plethora of turnovers. But their defense still creates turnovers to help him. Joe Burrow's Super Bowl run, he turned the ball over and the offense turned the ball over a few times. But his defense created turnovers to help him. Lamar Jackson turns the ball over. There's no help from his defense. He has to play perfect or we're going to lose. He can't turn the ball over multiple times and we walk out that stadium with a win. That's not happening. Flacco on multiple occasions has his offense turn the ball over multiple times and we've still won the playoff game. We beat the Tennessee Titans. Sorry, let me not say the Tennessee Titans. In 2009, we beat the New England Patriots. The Ravens offense, we beat the New England Patriots 33-19. The Ravens offense turned the ball over 2 times in that 2009 wildcard round. 2009 wildcard round against New England Patriots. We beat the Patriots 33-14. The Ravens offense had 2 turnovers in that game. You don't got to worry about those 2 turnovers because the Ravens defense created 4 turnovers against the Patriots. 4. I'll give you another example here. Let me pull this up here too. I'll give you another example. 2010 wild card round. Not 2010. 2010 wild card round against the Kansas City Chiefs. 2010 wild card round against the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore's offense turns the ball over twice. We don't have to worry. We blew out the Kansas City Chiefs 30-7. You know why we blew out the Chiefs 30-7? Despite the fact that our offense turned the ball over twice? Our defense created 5 turnovers in that game. In the 2010 wild card round, in which we beat the Chiefs 30-7, Flacco and the offense turned the ball over twice. We didn't need to worry because the Ravens defense created 5 turnovers that game. 5 turnovers by that defense. And we beat them 30-7. Offense turned the ball over twice. Our defense created 5 turnovers. We walk out with a dominating W. Ain't got to worry. Ain't got to worry. What's there to worry about? Why you got to worry? Ain't nothing to worry about. Your offense can turn the ball over multiple times. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, dude. Why we got you worried about turnovers? You got the Ravens defense. Ain't got nothing to worry about. And by the way, I only decided to bring up like the 2000 playoffs because I only started from 2008. I could talk about 06 where the defense held Peyton Manning to 15 points. I kept saying 18 to 15 points, and they created 2 turnovers, but we lost that game. I could talk about 06. I could talk about the wild card round against the Tennessee Titans where the defense forced 3 points and we lost by 3. I could talk about 01 where we played the Dolphins, won that game and created 3 turnovers, but lost to the Steelers in the divisional round. I could talk about 2000 where that defense literally created 12 turnovers in 4 playoff games. I mean, this is what we were. This is what our defense was. They built a fear factor because they take the ball away at a high rate. I only mentioned 08 from 2012, but they've been doing this. They've got multiple playoff games prior to 08 where they created 5 turnovers, that defense. That's what we were built off of. That's always been our identity. But in this era of football, we got a defense that can't create turnovers. And Joe Flacco and the offense can turn the ball over as much as they want. Why do I got to worry about the offense's 2 turnovers when my defense forced 5? Why would I have to worry about his 2 turnovers when my defense forced 4? I ain't got nothing to worry about. Why would I have to worry? Ain't nothing to worry about here. 2008 wild card round. Offense turned the ball over once. I ain't got to worry. We're going to win 27-9. Why? Because our defense forced 5 turnovers. I grew up watching this team constantly create turnovers in the playoffs, and now I'm watching the Ravens team that can't even generate a single turnover to save their lives. That's why nobody fears the Ravens defense anymore. I'm making a video about this week. I am making a video about this week. I did not realize just how many turnovers we created as a defense during this era. We wasted a Hall of Fame defense. I'm glad we got 2 rings. I'm glad we at least won a championship so we don't look back at this era and say, what did we do? We at least won a championship. We won a championship with the 2000 Ravens. We won a championship during this era of having Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and Terrell Suggs. I'm glad we won a championship with that trio. Thank God we did. We did not waste that because it would have been a horrible look to not get 1 ring with those 3 guys in that defense. 38 turnovers created in a 5-year span. It already pissed me off right now. I gotta look at this defense now. I'm supposed to trust these guys. No. This is a joke, bro. This is a joke. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. You could have fooled me. You could have really fooled me. I know the fight's about to get started soon, so we are definitely gonna have to log off. And we got some real bad luck, man. I'm gonna end this here. I gotta talk to my friend. But this is wild. This is really wild. Guys, we're gonna end it here today. I'll see you tomorrow. I might bring this up for some of y'all that are here. We're gonna have the other guys pull up on the the usuals always pull up in our chat during the games. I'm gonna have to bring this up tomorrow. If any of you guys are in the chat right now, in case I forget, please remind me tomorrow during the live stream. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna keep the paper right here, but please remind me tomorrow because I'm bringing this up in the live stream. This is why nobody fears our defense. Matter of fact, I'm about to send a tweet. I'm about to send a tweet right now because this is why nobody fears our defense. No fear factor. When you play Baltimore's defense in January, they were going to knock you down. They were going to be physical with you. They were going to be aggressive. They were going to slow you down, and they were going to take the football away from you. And they were going to do that in waves. You can't throw the football down the field with Ed Reed there. You can't try the middle of the field when Ray Lewis is there. You better have extra protection off the edge because Terrell Suggs is coming. We used to have real dogs playing in this defense. Legit Hall of Famers. What do we have now? What do we have now? It's just. I can take bad offense. I can't take bad defense, bro. We grew up on this. We got spoiled with this, and now I can't even look at my defense the same way, man. This is ridiculous. This is embarrassing, man. I done spoiled the night. I done really spoiled the night. Guys, I will see you tomorrow. We're going to end this here. I'm bringing this up during the stream tomorrow. We got to talk about this again. And I may make a video about this week. I got to send the tweet out. But you guys, enjoy the rest of your night. We at least got to talk about why this is going to be an emotional game for the Ravens. It's because they're celebrating their 30-year anniversary. For the Browns, it's because we're celebrating our 30-year anniversary and they're pissed off about it. It'll be an emotional game. Flacco's return to Baltimore and all this other stuff. We'll speak on that, I guess, a little bit more during the game tomorrow. But I'm going to end it here. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. I appreciate you guys tuning in for the live stream. Just wanted to speak with you guys just before we start week 2 because, we usually do this and I talk with you guys just before the game. So just appreciate you guys tuning in. Man, that's a depressing end. I did not realize how bad this is. I'm going to have to talk about this at some point. But yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Normally, I would stay a little bit longer, but I'm trying to go watch that fight. And I'm thinking it's getting ready to start soon. If not now, it'll start at 12. But I'm going to go watch that fight, get ready for that. Anyone else in the chat, go watch that fight. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow for the game. You guys be sure to stay safe and peace out. Man,